Silver Screen Specialist Showcase has begun.
This was terrible. That just sounds like I'm done.
I'm sure there's plenty of podcasts correct me on this. So funny!
The following is a fan-off production.
They call me Alice in Wonderland. They try to lure me with a man. Go, oh, what do you know? Is that a rabbit hole? Oh, I gotta see where we go. So off with my head, fell in love again. You lose your head, you lose your heart, fall apart.
What's up, all you stars and studs? I am former WWE Diva and current First Lady of Ring of Honor, Maria Kanellis, and I am here with my fiancé, incredible wrestler extraordinaire, international wrestling superstar,
master of the...
Everybody that goes to Beyond Wrestling shows will beat all Briscoes, no matter how big their beards are. Michael Bennett.
Hi, I had one too, but you cut me off, so I stopped talking.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I was saying impersonator of all professional wrestlers, but it's not as funny now.
That was a really good one.
It's not as funny anymore.
But you've only impersonated one. So
I know, that's why that was the joke.
Are you planning on impersonating more?
That's the joke of it. I've only done it once.
But are you planning on impersonating more people?
I don't know, maybe. Maybe we should tell the people what in the blue hell we are talking about.
Possibly.
Go ahead, take it away, boss.
I am not the boss.
You are the boss. You are leaps and bounds the boss.
Do you know why I know that I'm the boss?
You just said you weren't, and I'm telling you that you are the boss. How do you know, though?
I know because I can say that I'm not the boss and be completely confident in saying that because I know that when I say I'm not the boss, that is completely a lie.
It's totally a lie, and you can't even say it with a straight face.
No, I can't.
You're not even like the boss. You're like the boss. Like you're the CEO, really.
I do run a lot of stuff right now. It will change. I hope you understand.
You're like God, actually.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you're God.
Goddess, actually.
Well,
I've always wondered, why did it end up being God as a male? You know, it used to be a female. God was female. You worship the goddess. Because
did he have a sex change? How was he a female and then he became a male? Did someone chop his? Did someone give him a wiener? I don't understand how you go from female to male. That doesn't make sense.
Well, there was a king at one point that was trying to get all of his people on his side and also try and give himself even more power. So he decided it would be a good idea to rewrite all of history and say that Jesus Christ is, he's actually God reincarnate. And, so now everybody that's a Christian out there can hate me. That's totally cool. But God used to be a goddess. So all the females out there should actually like me because somehow in this transition between going from when there was pagan gods to being God as in the Almighty, we lost our titties.
You just grew a wiener.
Well, I mean, there was gods and goddesses, and you used to pray to whichever one would help you at that moment, which I think is just so much cooler. Plus, they had cooler outfits. Some of them were like, they were part eagle and part serpent. I mean, they were just cooler. Now we have Jesus comes down and he tells us all we suck, basically, and that we're going to hell unless we spend our Sundays worshiping.
Is that what happens?
Strike down, actually, right now while we're on this podcast, because, I'm insulting.
Or we just lost all our religious followers. They just left. All the people, anyone who's religious that listens to us is now gone.
Anybody that has faith should believe in our podcast.
Hey, I didn't say faith, though. I said anyone who believes in religion or is religious just left.
Well, that's not necessarily true because religion isn't necessarily just one religious sect. It is
Of course it's not. What do you think, I'm dumb?
Don't you
My goodness.
You just said any of our religious people. Well, what if they believe in, I don't know, Buddha? Or what if they believe in... They don't necessarily just...
Sorry, I will choose my words more carefully.
If, whether you go from Buddha to Allah to God, the similarities between all of them, does nobody see these similarities? I mean, how can you look at any of the symbols from way back when, before Jesus was even born, and not see the similarities between those symbols and our symbols now today? How can you not see that? Are you blind?
I don't know. I
thought that God was the light.
I'm not a religious man. I don't follow it very closely. So
I have faith. I'm not necessarily religious. I just have faith. I have faith.
You gotta have faith.
Mankind. I have faith that there is...
Mick Foley?
There is... What? Mick Foley?
You said mankind.
No. I worked with
Jack?
him once.
Dude Love?
No, I worked with Mankind one time. I accidentally switched luggage with him. It was quite funny.
I would think that your luggage... All right, I'll stop talking.
Why are you getting so mad already?
I wasn't. I was asking you a question, and you cut me down. I got nothing in. I was wondering what your luggage compared to Mick Foley's luggage would be. I thought that'd be a funny story you might want to tell.
Well, one time when I was on Raw, and I was at the Raw event, I accidentally switched my luggage with Mankind, so I came out with a mask on.
No, you didn't.
I did too! Look it up!
You didn't come out with a mask on, did you?
Look it up! You date me, but you have no idea how many people I've worked with, actually. I think you just think that my life began when I started dating you.
That's how I like to think. It makes it easier.
I did work with Mankind and switch my luggage with him one time. It's actually quite a funny segment.
I would think your luggage would be significantly more different than what's in Mick Foley's bag.
Well, at the time, I was very dumb and ditzy, so I thought that it was my luggage.
You're never dumb and ditzy, not in my eyes.
Thank you, darling. So I started a eBay store, and my eBay store is Maria Kanellis Direct, and it's me, and I have someone running it for me, and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. And I cannot believe how insulting people are. I cannot believe it.
What do you mean?
Well, because I am selling my stuff. All of a sudden, that means that I am thirsty, which is this new word that they've been using for like the last year or something. It's like
Doesn't that mean you're horny?
No, it means apparently like you're jealous or you're in need or thirsty bitch and all this stuff that I get from all these intelligent people that like to use these slang terms on Twitter and
You're
Facebook
thirsty because you started an eBay store?
Apparently. And then this other chick, and I should actually say her name because she's a very insulting.
Call her out. Call her out and we'll have all our
I'll call her out. I don't care.
Call her out.
She said her name is Adriana Cardenas.
Is that her Twitter handle?
No, she's on Facebook. Okay, so she says,
Adriana Cardenas, Facebook her and call her a lovely lady because we don't. A
lovely lady. Okay, so here's what she says: is this bitch poor or what? What the fuck with all her clothes on sale? Really? What the fuck? And then someone said to her, Matthew Shaw, thank you for defending my honor. She says she's moving, so she wants to get rid of some stuff. And then Adriana Cardenas says, moving what? Or moving where? And then Adriana Cardenas says, why should I, just because you say so, please? Because somebody else said, Richard Field, thank you very much, said be respectful. So this chick, because I've decided I want to sell my millions of clothes that I own from working at WWE. Mind you, I would have to wear a different outfit every week, sometimes a couple of different outfits if I was on Raw and SmackDown. And then if I did main event or a pay-per-view, sometimes I would go through 4 to 5 outfits a week. So all you ladies out there, think about how much that will accumulate in your closet. And me and my lovely, wonderful fiance are moving. And I don't necessarily want to carry all this crap. Furthermore,
we don't have any room for it.
why should I? When there is a person out there that would enjoy my stuff, or maybe they want to hang it up on their wall, or maybe, it's a girl that she loved one of my outfits back in the day and she wanted to wear it. Maybe she wants to wear it to Halloween. I don't care. Maybe you want to tear it up because you don't like me. Whatever it is that you want to do to enjoy this, I don't care. I just think it's rather insulting, and it's not the first person that's done this. There has been a lot of people that do that. So just because famous people sell their stuff, it doesn't mean that they're like these horrible individuals that are
terrible people,
thirsty, because that's another person said.
You're so thirsty.
I want to say Thomas Encinas said, I think it's pretty awesome. So thank you, Thomas, on Facebook. So, yeah.
Good
That's
stuff.
all. And Taven's on the line. But
I think you're going. Go ahead. Keep going.
Yeah, I find it incredibly insulting. It's like, why can't I get rid of some of my crap? Guess what, people? I'm having a yard sale this summer. Does that mean I'm a horrible person, or does that just mean I want to get rid of some shit?
I don't know. Matt, what do you think? Does that make her a horrible person?
I just don't know what I walked into. Like, the line picked up, and you were just going off. It was awesome.
Yeah.
I picked up, and it was like, I don't know what she wants to do with this dress. I was like, what? Did I call the right number?
You did.
Totally did.
You knew it.
I know that, Matt Taven, you have a eBay store, and you like to get rid of some of your tights and stuff like that.
I was just about to say I was selling my tights this past week. And I think that's even stranger because, like, you've done some cool stuff in those dresses. Like, I sweat in those tights. I mean,
But, I mean, that could be, it could be exciting to a person. You could be the person that made them fall in love with wrestling, and they want to own a piece of history, of your history, because you are the person. It's just like with Mike. If Mike could own Edge's tights, I think that he would. He probably would wear them to the ring.
He would run around the house with them.
I would.
Watching SpongeBob on the weekends.
Yeah, I'd take selfies.
If Mike could own one of the tacks that was in Lita's mouth or in Edge's back, he would own that. And he would, like, put it in his pocket, and it would stab him in the leg, and it would be his reminder of why he got into wrestling.
I would take bumps on it, actually.
Mike, why don't you introduce our wonderful guest?
Okay,
yeah,
are you done?
People don't know who I am. Remember that was last
They
week?
don't.
I have to go in detail about who our guest is, because according to the other host on this, no one knows who Matt Taven is. So why don't I introduce him? Are you good with that story, dear? Or can I continue? Or I don't want to interrupt.
No,
are you good?
I'm done. Yeah.
All right. Okay, so now that we're at her eBay store, but it's a very good eBay store, so I think everyone should check it out. But anyways, we now have current Ring of Honor wrestler and former Ring of Honor television champ. I don't know if that's a sore subject.
I'm the longest reigning television champ.
Longest reigning. Sorry. I apologize. And you are a former Hoopla member. You were a Northeast heavyweight champ at one point, correct?
Correct.
And you say, look at me. He also goes by the name Vigo the Carpathian, and he was formerly known as the White Angel in Backyard Wrestling. Ladies and gentlemen.
I don't know how that stuck. I bought one mask one day and wore it maybe once on the trampoline, and now all you guys refer to me as that. That's just bothering me.
So we have formerly the White Angel, but now Matt Taven. What's up, dude?
Hi, it's me, the White Angel. Hello, everyone.
He's also one of the groomsmen in the wedding, so I think, he's another person involved in the wedding. So we're just going to have the entire wedding party on by the time the wedding happens, I think.
That's a good idea. Yes, he's also a groomsman in this.
The best was how I was asked to be a groomsman, though.
Worst way ever.
I don't recall this.
Of course not, because you didn't do it.
Well, Maria already gave me the heads up, so I already knew. So I was sitting there, waiting, wondering what special thing you were going to do to ask me. I mean, Maria gave Casey a ring.
She did.
And so, just waiting for the day. And then in the locker room, you just looked at me one day and were like, you're in the wedding, right? All right, well, Okay.
That doesn't sound like me. I don't remember this. I think I was getting changed, and I looked up at you and went,
You were.
I did ask you to be in
you
the
were.
wedding, right?
You were looking into your bag, and then you just popped up like out of nowhere, like, huh? I'm gonna ask you to be in my wedding, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
okay.
it just kind of hit me. I was like, "There's Taven. There's my sweaty gear. Wedding, perfect."
Are you gonna wear your gear at the wedding? Is that
I
what?
might. I was thinking about it.
Oh,
I was telling Maria I had a dream about the
Or
wedding
Edge's
last
gear.
night. Oh, I should wear Edge's gear to the wedding.
Edge's gear at your wedding. There you go.
Maybe then.
No. No, that's like too many. Like it's what is it? The 6 degrees of no. That's enough.
I love Edge.
I know you love Edge, but not at no. Please.
And if he's listening to this podcast, I would love for him to be in my corner at WrestleMania weekend. You think I can get that going? Maybe.
I would give up my spot so that you could have Edge there in your corner. Yeah.
Okay.
He comes out in Maria's outfit. See, that's the swerve. He comes out in Maria's outfit, and we come full circle with the outfit thing.
And Maria could wear the trench coat. So
Exactly. There you go. Well, you guys dressed up like the Briscoes this past weekend, which thoroughly creeps me out.
Because we look just like them.
Well, no, because I kept looking down at my gear bag and seeing, like, Maria's legs and, like, shorts. I keep thinking it's a guy, and then I look up, and it's Maria. It's bugging me out. I wasn't
staring
okay with
at me the whole day. He hated
well, that's
it.
because I think at one point he looked up and you were fixing your pants, and he just saw, like, sexy women underwear, and he was like,
no, yeah, you're like,
what kind of man
gear,
is that?
so all of a sudden this blue glitter came out, and I was like, what? Who? Oh, hey, what's going on?
Very sexy Mark Briscoe. All right, we'll get back on track here now that we have completely hijacked our own show. So, anyways,
we were talking about outfits.
We were. Outfits are cool. Speaking of outfits and wrestling outfits, I don't know. Maybe explain. I mean, I know all the stories just because I've known you for however long. But how did you end up getting it? Because you've only been wrestling, 5 or 6 years, right?
It was actually the Milwaukee show was my 6-year anniversary.
Oh,
yeah.
You're getting old.
So,
well, that was kind of fitting.
It was a milestone night.
That was kind of fitting.
Yeah, it was kind of fitting. Yeah, great crowd. Dove on the floor head first. It was very fitting.
Cole refused.
I thought you were going to die.
I thought I did. I mean, I think Mike talked about it a little bit, but
so can I just? I'll preempt this for our people that don't know about Ring of Honor shows or aren't followers of Ring of Honor shows. So Matt Taven has this main event match. Okay, it's against Adam Cole. He was
for the world title.
Wrecked. For the world title, he was a nervous wreck all day, but I shouldn't tell people that. But you were.
Wow.
And
Throw him under the bus.
Pipe down now.
Anybody that isn't a nervous wreck before a main event is crazy. Just so you know, everybody is nervous before a main event.
As cool as can be. Go on with the
Exactly.
story.
So you were awesome. Okay, so he's doing the match, blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden, Matt Taven dives to the floor, supposed to land on Adam Cole, I'm assuming, because that's who you were going for. And somehow you landed on the floor and bounced like 6 inches in the air. It was the craziest thing I ever saw, and my heart skipped a beat. And I was scared. Scared.
He juked me, he buttonhooked me. I wasn't expecting that. So, he gave me the R1 and totally just kind of gave me that shuffle step, and I just ate it. And, the biggest thing was when I hit the ground, I had this, rush of, oh, my God, adrenaline, I guess, rush through my body. And I was just really worried that I might have soiled my new gear. So back to outfits. I'm bringing a full circle. So, I popped up and pretty much just had to clench my butt cheeks and just make sure I was all set. And once I knew that was good, I was like, all right, we're off.
What do guys do when that happens? What do you do? Do you go to the back? I mean, do you check and see, okay, I'm wearing black or brown, I'm good to go? What?
Well, that was the thing. I was wearing those bright orange ones. So I was like, oh, my God, if anything happens, this is going to be so noticeable. But luckily, I've never had an experience like that in the ring.
I haven't either. I've heard lots of stories, but I'm yet to experience the soiling of the tights. But I think it's a good thing.
A little. Well, piddle every once in a while, but
piddle's okay because you can just pull that off.
Yeah,
with
exactly.
Sweat.
It's just sweat.
Yeah,
That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes someone just knocks the piddle out of you. You're like, oh, okay, not a full one, and then you just keep going.
Yeah, sometimes I'm like, oh, I profusely sweat out of my right leg. What are you talking about? Comes down like a waterfall.
Just dripping sweat from my legs. This is completely normal.
No big deal. So, okay, now that we've completely hijacked the show again, let's go back to the question. How in the hell did you get started in wrestling? Did you?
Oh, I forgot I even had a question.
Yeah,
I know.
Were you like? Did you just train yourself like a lot of the schmucks around here, or did you actually go to training?
Well, let me just admit to that one since you just called it a people schmucks. Yeah, blow me in with them. But that's kind of correct for a while there. But I loved wrestling as like a little kid. My parents always thought I was so weird for loving wrestling because I just did not get it. But I didn't start wrestling until I was out of college, and it's something that, I mean, we've talked about a bunch of times, and, you know, everyone's kind of got different opinions on it, but I kind of wish I started while I was at college, because, I mean, you know, those years of when you're younger and you could really get your name out. Instead, I was, 23 trying to do what 18-year-olds are doing. So, which is fine, because then I loved every second of it. It's just like now I'm like, oh, I'm an old man. Look at Adam Cole, how young. Oh, to be young again. Man. But me and Adam kind of started at the same time, basically like a month apart. So I started off just kind of, I didn't really know the process of how to get in and do anything correctly. I reached out to a couple people. I knew about Chaotic in Kowalski School. And, I love Chaotic. Let me just say that. I work for them now, but I did get the cold shoulder from Chaotic at first.
Oh, what?
Yeah. So, like, I didn't really know where to turn. And I was kind of just, showing up at these terrible shows and training before the show, and these terrible guys would train me, terribly. Until one day, this guy, Ryan Waters, who is a great trainer up here at the Top Rope School at the Lockup, he spotted me at one of these shows and was like, you got to do things the right way. And I guess I kind of always knew I needed to do that. I just needed someone to help me find out what the right way was. And he brought me to Spike School. And then I was trained by Ryan, Spike, you, and Bob Evans. Yes, you.
Brutal Bob.
Yeah, and then Brutal Bob would come to practice, and take over and call us dummies, and, you were there.
Oh, I was there. I vividly
Come on, you dummy.
Being called a dummy.
No, but
by Bob.
I loved, from like all four of those guys, you get something very different. And so I always tell people that are training to try to get as much training from as many different people that are good or reputable. Right. And, just everyone has the analogies that, like, wrestling's ice cream. So try as many flavors as possible to figure out which flavor you are. But those four were my base, and I think all brought something different to the table.
Did you? I mean, I feel like we kind of had similar the way we started, as opposed, like when I started, I was trained by people who really didn't know what they were doing. But at the time, I didn't know that they didn't know what they were doing. I actually thought I was getting trained the right way. Did you ever think that you were getting trained by people? Until I branched out and went to Bob's, I was never like, oh shit, I really was being trained the absolute wrong way. Was there ever a moment when, you were like, maybe this isn't the way you should structure a match? Maybe that just doesn't make sense.
It's really funny because you actually have something to do with this, like, come to Jesus moment. It's like I didn't know that I wasn't being trained correctly, and I didn't know that I wasn't going to the right places. But what I could see was that these guys didn't look like wrestlers. That, like, I showed up in better shape than anyone else there, and I was like, wait a second, like, I'm a small guy, like, where are all the wrestlers? Like, these guys are in their, these guys are all in, like, their pajama pants, like, rolling around, and I was like, I just don't, this can't be right, But, like, still, I'm so naive, I'm like, all right, well, you start here, tomorrow will be Raw, the next day will be WrestleMania, and I'll just be fine. And, I had no idea what I was doing, but I would look up guys online and local. Once I started figuring out all the indies around here, I'd start looking up guys and then looking up the guys that I actually thought looked like they could get signed somewhere. And that's when I stumbled across, I believe you were Epic Mike Bennett at the time.
Oh, the
and
Epic.
So, yeah, and I think I found you on MySpace, which is just real creepy. I'll just get real weird with the story.
I'm still on there.
So I find you on MySpace, and I look at your schedule, and I remember writing down all those promotions. These are the places where
stalker man.
actual wrestlers. I know, right? Really weird. But then I started contacting those people because I thought these are the promotion where actual guys that look like wrestlers wrestle. That's where I need to be. And so that's how I kind of came across Top Rope.
But that's really smart of you, because
a
lot of people
I was
wouldn't
also
do
older.
that. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but
and what did you go to college for, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm a sports entertainment event management major.
Ooh, fantastic!
Yeah, I worked for the New England Patriots and New England Revolution right out of college.
Wow.
How was that?
And then I decided to drop everything that I went to school for and become a wrestler.
Live the dream, brother.
Wow,
Exactly.
really? Okay, so how long did you work at the other job before you decided that it was time to become a dirty, stinky, poor wrestler?
And it's funny because it's true.
It is.
But
that's how it is. When you're first starting off in wrestling,
exactly.
it's it's any
I'm not
entertainment.
stinky, but
No, well,
that just goes. That never goes away. Stinky and
that
smelly.
just comes
wrestler
with
stays
being in a
forever.
wrestling ring. I'm sorry. I think all people, if they're in a wrestling ring, are stinky.
This is probably true.
most you're probably pretty close to true there. But
Rings are pretty disgusting.
what was the question? How long? I was at. Let's see. I did 2 seasons with the Pats, so I started there graduated from college in 07 and started there right afterwards. And then it had to be, about the beginning of 2009 and it was crazy because, like I said, my parents never were wrestling fans growing up. But I realized that, how supportive they were when one day I called my dad and I was in the parking lot of the stadium and I was like, Dad, I think I'm just going to quit. I think I'm done doing this. I want to pursue wrestling, and the thing with working for the Patriots is that the games are on the weekends,
Right.
and so if you have to even do little trips with the team, or if you have to do anything with the team, it's all weekends. And so I can remember saying no to opportunities that I thought was big at the time, even though there were nothing opportunities, but and being like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I'm not going to get anywhere wrestling if I keep saying no because I'm working this job. And I was just like, you know what? My dad, like I said, I told my dad, and he was the one that really kind of convinced me. He's like, you're only young once. I think he started the YOLO trend, and he was like, you're only young once. If you want to quit and pursue wrestling, then just do it. And I was like, oh shit, I did not expect that from you. But
holy crap, your story is amazing. You had a fantastic job, and you gave that up to be in this crazy world. That is a tremendous story.
Do you ever regret it?
No. The only regret I ever have is, like I said, not starting earlier. But
right.
as far as quitting and kind of abandoning, what I'm still paying student loans for, I don't regret that for a second.
Right.
Because, I really, when I think of my life in the 20s, you're only in your 20s for so long, and you're only young for so long, and to think about going to a cubicle every day, or even doing cool stuff working with a team and stuff, I would much rather wrestle than do any of that.
Right.
So,
well, and
I
think it's one of those things where you have to. I mean, I know just through my journey in wrestling, you have to make those sacrifices, or you can't. You'll just never get anywhere in wrestling. We always talk about, you have to work hard, and working hard is a small part of it. But you hear about anyone who's ever made it or anyone who's ever doing anything. Everyone has a similar story. I mean, not in the sense of like everyone has their different paths, but it's always a similar story of like, yeah, I worked a job that was at 5 a.m. in the morning, so I would do shows on the weekend and then literally drive right to work, or I quit this job and it was because I wanted to wrestle in East Bumfuck, Maine or something. And it's like, well, why the hell did you do that? But I feel like anyone who's ever made it, I'm sure Maria probably has similar stories. You sacrifice almost everything.
Without a doubt.
I stopped going to class. I quit at the dance studio I had been at for 17 years. I had a job as a timeshare salesperson. And one day I decided that was it. I went to Miami. And then I lived out of my car. That was fun. But I think that's, you have to be that sure. You have to just know, okay, I'm doing this and screw you all.
Yeah. And I think that day where, my dad told me like, do what you want to do. That's going to make you happy. I think my mindset totally changed that day.
Right.
And, I had to put everything in. If I was going to, stop what I was doing, then, hey, I got to just dedicate myself to this. And I have since that day. So
right. Well, okay, so now you've quit your job and you're training, and you're actually getting the right training. You're going and training with Ryan Drew, who's awesome, and Spike Dudley, and
you
and myself. Yeah, but I would say my training came more so through like wrestling each other every fucking weekend than it did.
It was like a lot of it was because we were married to each other for so long at Northeast, but your trainings were very different than everyone else's, and not in a good way, because people take criticism completely different. And I always say, like, Mike is the nicest person in the entire world, because he's never like Spike would go off the handle sometimes,
right?
And Ryan will scream at you sometimes. Bob will call you a dummy, but Mike would always be like, "No, that was really good. That was really good. You know what though? I'd probably do this like this, and it could be the worst match ever." And you would say, "Oh, that was really good. That was really, what good though? I'd do the entire match over." He would give you that advice that you would need, but like he was just so easy to talk to.
The positive reinforcement. Well, I just always knew that, like, when I got taught the best, it was when guys weren't yelling at me. But it's funny because, like, 90% of the people I ever trained with yelled. Like, Bradley yelled, Bob yelled, Rip would yell. But it's like when I would learn the most was when they would just sit and talk with me. Like when I would sit and talk with Bradley or talk with Rip, that's when I retained the most information, not when they were screaming in my face. So I try to I think I'd be nice to a fault. No, you don't yell.
and now, I get to help out at Fury School.
Right.
And I try to use that same approach, because, there's definitely a lot of yelling that goes on, and I lose my mind from time to time.
I know.
He's a total screamer. He's a great. I'm not to take anything away from Brian. No. He's a great trainer. But like a guy like Mark Sherman, I always say like he would be so much better if he would have it so much better off if he trained with someone like you, because he doesn't take to the yelling. Like when you start yelling at him, his mind just shuts down, and he just thinks like, I'm getting yelled at. That's it, and he doesn't listen to what you're actually saying.
Right.
So if he had someone like you, I think he would retain a lot more.
Right.
If people want to train at Fury School, what is the best place for them to get the information from it?
It's New England Pro Wrestling Academy. There is a Twitter and a Facebook. I'm sorry, I don't know it right off the top of my head. I know it's an acronym for it.
But I think it's the only New England Pro Wrestling Academy in the school. So
yeah. So if you Google that, I'm sure it'll come up. Or if you get a hold of Brian Fury.
Yeah.
But like they have Brian. I show up there. Hanson now. He's there, so in 2 rings, which a lot of places don't have. So you got like a beginner and then a little more advanced ring. And the thing is that like Chaotic Wrestling, they put on great shows, and they put on a lot of shows in the Northeast. So it's a great foot in the door there as well.
Nice. Well, okay, so let's figure out. So you're, like I was saying before, you're training the right way, and you're wrestling a lot on the indies only because it seemed like every other show we were on together or traveling together. So at this time, I believe I started with Ring of Honor, and then maybe a year into that, year and a half, you started with them. I don't know, maybe talk about how we kind of got there the same way. We both did a tryout camp. How did you make the jump from indie wrestling to Ring of Honor? Because I don't really consider Ring of Honor indie wrestling. That's just my little annoyance. I think it's above indie wrestling, but
it's a television show.
It is. So how did you make that? How did you start getting involved with Ring of Honor, and how did you finally get a full-time gig there?
You know what's really weird is that all these answers are going to sound like I'm just kissing your butt.
No, please kiss.
It's really how it's
Why
really
do you
how
think
it
I
went
had
down.
you on the show?
That's what I'm thinking right now. I think you only had him on the show to put you over.
But seriously, I was like your little tag along. Like I was like, oh, you're driving to Louisiana? I mean, Louisville? Like, yeah, count me in.
Okay.
You know, so like I kept just tagging along with you and showing up and showing my face, and you did the camp, and so I would do the camp. And I remember the first camp that really brought you in. The famous line from Jim Cornette is, Matt Taven, you're like a puppy with big paws. One day you're going to be eating at that dinner table, but right now you're still at the kids' table. I was like, I guess that's good. But so, like, you know, I did a couple of those camps, and I was just always around, always constantly, and doing dark matches from time to time, and then started to, when everyone would go down to Baltimore, I'd just jump in the car as well, which, you know, I always tell for young wrestlers, like, if you want to be somewhere, they need to know who you are first. So the more you show your face around, the better.
Just go to where you want to be.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, you know, when you guys would do the trips to Baltimore, I'd obviously tag along, and then I started grabbing TV matches after that, just, you know, doing underneath stuff, and then the Mike Mondo match happened.
Right.
Which was definitely, you know, I think match. Cornette and Delirious and, you know, people there at the time thought, you know, they thought highly of me, but I'm not sure if they really knew what I had to offer.
Right.
And after that Mondo match, it was pretty apparent that
you could just feel it. I mean, how the crowd just took to you, and just the way that match made you feel was incredible. You guys did an awesome job. And I think that since that match, you've only gotten better and better. And now that you're on your own, I feel like it's just going to make you even stronger. I mean, the Hoopla Hotties, they're great, whatever, but not with you. You are a standalone, and you're definitely someone that people should root for.
Oh, well, thank you. But,
you're welcome. Pay me later.
See you later. I'll see you this weekend. I'll have the money. But what was I saying? Yeah, so after the Mondo match, and also Mike Mondo is training down in the New York area, so if you are trying to be a wrestler, there's probably not many people that you can learn from there any better than Mike. He's a great guy. Definitely go check out his school. But yeah, no, I think the year that was spent, you know, doing the Hoopla thing was definitely a huge, huge learning experience. But now I've kind of, you know, I've outgrown that and broken off, and I'm very happy being on my own. And I think I'm going to surprise a lot of people.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think so, just because I've known you for a while. But like, so you came into Ring of Honor, and like you said, you had that Mondo match, and then I think, if my memory serves, like not immediately after that, but fairly soon, you got offered a contract and you were on the full-time roster. But not only that, but fairly soon after you got offered a contract, you won the TV title, right?
I mean, I literally signed a contract maybe a month before the TV title win. Right. So it was very quick, everything.
Right. What was that like? Was that a lot? Was that a lot to handle? Or
it definitely, yeah, you know what? And I always prided myself on I did get into wrestling a little bit older, so I should be a little more mature and be able to handle any situation. But Ring of Honor has this style stigma to it. Yeah. And, people feel like they got to live up to that right away and that they just got to jump in there with the sharks and start swimming. And it definitely made me nervous. And I was trying to change my game to, I don't know, maybe fit that style a little bit better or whatever was going on in my mind. But I should have just been doing, what I've been doing for the past couple of years. Because that's what I knew and that's what I was good at, and that's why they wanted me there in the first place.
Right.
So, I would definitely say there was a little bit of, I definitely got some questions when I was first TV champ of what's this guy doing? What is he all about? But after a couple months, I really hit my stride. And if people look past those first couple of months, I think they definitely started to see who I was and what I brought to the table.
Right. I always feel like, and you kind of touched on it, when guys first start coming around to Ring of Honor and they're, not brand new wrestlers, but they're brand new to working Ring of Honor regularly. I feel like there's this stigma that you have to wrestle a certain way. And I don't think what a lot of the younger guys realize is that, a lot of these guys who get brought in, they get brought in to do what they do because they do it so well. But then they sit and they watch the matches and they think that they have to start wrestling a certain style. And like you said, I feel like you get more comfortable, and I feel like you've probably come into your own more when you took a step back and said, I got brought here for a certain reason, and now I'm just going to exude more confidence as opposed to do this so-called Ring of Honor style, which I don't even really believe exists. Can I give my opinion? Of course.
Can I? I think that it is very much changed in the past year. I think that we have totally different wrestlers now than we did in the past. I do think that the core values of Ring of Honor are still the same, and that's every single guy is going out there to put on the best show possible. I just think now we have so many different types of wrestlers that are trying to go put on the best match possible in a different way. And that, to me, is the most exciting part of Ring of Honor right now, is we have all these different personalities and all these different styles of guys coming from all these different backgrounds, and we're going out there and putting on one hell of a show. And that is why our numbers are up. Not because there's, someone has changed what they were doing in the past. No, that person's doing the same thing that they were doing in the past. But now we have different personalities and different characters in the company, which are drawing in a different audience and bringing in more eyeballs. So that's my opinion on it. I think that Ring of Honor core values still the same, but the way that it's done is totally different.
And I completely agree. I mean, there's no better locker room that I've ever been in, that everyone wants everyone to just be better, and everyone, wants the best of the next guy over. When you're down, people pick you up. Everyone has good advice for you. It's an incredible place to be. But, and I'm not trying to say that I felt pressure from the locker room when I first started. I think more when new guys come in, we have such an intense crowd. And, they don't, they don't really just right off the bat warm up to everyone. It's kind of like,
they hate you.
You're meeting, it's like you're dating a girl and you're meeting their older brother, and they just stand there with their arms crossed, just like judging you. That's how you feel like every member of the crowd is the first time you're out there in a Ring of Honor ring. They're all just sitting there, arms crossed, like, no.
And they are. They're just judging you.
Yeah.
That's all they're doing.
Yeah. And, it definitely makes people like, oh, I got to do something to make them start, screaming and yelling. And it's like, they will come, they'll pick up what you're putting down. You just gotta do it. And, it definitely takes people a little while to figure that out. But like you said, we've hit such a stride. This whole year has been incredible. Right. It's like every show is just so good, and every guy is just so good. It's like, it's exciting to see what's coming up.
Do you feel like, because, I feel like the reason, to touch on what Maria said and what you said, I feel like the reason why we are hitting our stride, and, I could be totally crazy, but I feel like a lot of the guys who got brought in at the same time, like me, Elgin, Cole, Tommaso, Kyle, and then maybe maybe a year later, like you and ACH and missing people, Cedric Alexander, Bobby Fish, we're all actually coming in and we're finally hitting our stride, and we're finally showing people what it is that Ring of Honor saw in us 2 years ago, and now we're coming to the forefront. And that's why I feel like the confidence in all those wrestlers that I just named is at like its ultimate peak. So it's like it's this new era of Ring of Honor that people are really starting to finally buy into, where at first we were just trying to show them what we have. Now everyone's like, all right, this is what they have. Now we're going to start paying money to come see these guys.
What about the AJ and Hero factor, though?
Oh, I'm sure that's a huge factor. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's AJ Styles and Chris Hero. I'm just saying, but those two alone, like, and no disrespect to them, but they're not on every match of the show. So you still need to fill in the blanks between Hero and AJ Styles. I mean, let's be honest, AJ.
And even shows that they're not at, though.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I was just going to say, is they haven't been on every show. And I think we've had a sellout since the beginning of the year, if I'm not mistaken. So,
and another thing that makes people really excited to see those guys come in is that they have a bunch of fresh matchups to come into, because Ring of Honor has built this roster so well, and everyone on the roster, you could say, like, AJ versus this guy, AJ versus that guy, Hero versus this guy, and the fans they're pumped. They haven't even seen half the matches they want to see because they're still out there. But, they're already excited about it. But like you're saying, before the beginning of the year, as we rolled into Final Battle, you could feel that momentum swing. And there's no real, like, there's really no feeling of, like, a totem pole at Ring of Honor. A lot of us have been peers of one another for years and have been wrestling one another for years. So it's like, now it's like, hey, we're all here to just show everyone, what we do.
Right.
So, and I always have to say that locker room is the best locker room in the entire world. Like, absolutely
I really think
incredible.
it is. I think talent and just, people's character. Talent, I think nobody holds a candle to this locker room. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. And to me, it's like I watch every single show, and guys seem to just be getting better. Like, Taven.
Cedric had an incredible weekend.
Yeah, and Cedric's awesome. And then it's like Kyle and Bobby find new ways to fucking crack everybody up. It's like, it's just amazing. I really think.
Matt Taven, what is next for you?
Well, this upcoming weekend, we have Northeast Wrestling that we're all on. So that's the immediate future. After that, but after that, we do have a Supercard of Honor, which I'll finally. I just saw it announced that I'm facing Truth Martini's Mystery Man, and I was really looking forward to getting my hands on the first night. I was really hoping to get my hands on Truth, so hopefully I'll just go through whoever this is real quick and then bust up Truth Martini real bad. But, we got Ring of Honor coming up, and something I'm trying to do, and I know you guys just came back, is just travel more. I want to just wrestle as many different people as I can, and kind of like, you always have to have that mindset of training, I feel. It's like, you got to taste all the different flavors of ice cream and add that to your repertoire and get better and better and better. And I think the next step for me to, add more stuff to Matt Taven is traveling and seeing what people do all around the world.
And what is your dream match?
Ooh.
Oh. Well, but that woo. Dream match. I mean, I guess I'd have to go with either Brett or Sean or Jericho. I think those are the guys that always idolized and always tried to emulate when I first started wrestling. And then as I was trying to figure out who I was, there was a little piece of this from there and a little piece from there and some from here. And now you have me.
Mm-hmm.
They all make Matthew Taven.
Maybe.
They make you. Now, I have to ask you one more question before we go.
No more questions.
One more question.
No more questions.
We try to pride this podcast on talking about more than just wrestling, but this is kind of a wrestling question, but it's more on like a dating question. You, just like me and Maria, are, you're dating someone in the wrestling worlds. Your manager and your lovely girlfriend, Casey.
Who's a wrestler?
And what is it? What is that like? Explain, because we've talked many times about how we keep our relationship healthy and how we live with it on the road and long distance, and how we deal with each other's
each other ever.
Yeah, and then how we deal with each other's success or failures or whatever. How maybe just briefly explain how you deal with what you and Casey go through.
And I feel kind of bad. I've barely mentioned her so far.
There you go. You have all this time now.
And yes, thank you, because I got so busy talking about myself.
And me.
Casey's awesome. And she's definitely been there for me through thick and thin. And as you guys know, this business has so many, ups and downs. It's a roller coaster. And there's some real low downs sometimes, and they're definitely hard to get through. And God bless her, she always is there for me whenever I need her.
Right.
And also, like, you got to be understanding of the other person, because she doesn't know everything that I'm doing when I'm gone. Like, I'm gone for a weekend. I'm in a whole other state. I'm across the country. I'm just talking randomly to her or whenever I can, shooting text. And it's like, you got to have that trust. You got to be with someone that you trust more than anyone. And dating a girl in wrestling, she's on shows when I'm on shows. So, like, she's in a locker room full of dudes in tights, and I got to be,
right.
Okay with that and trusting her enough, which I, obviously do to handle that in the situation. And these relationships are so tough in wrestling. There's so many things that come up, but when you find someone that you can communicate with and you can just kind of talk about anything with, it makes it a whole lot easier, because there's never any questions, because they know exactly what's going on because you told them exactly what's going on. So right. They're there for you when you need them because they know what's going on, and they never have to question you because they know as well. So I just think the biggest thing is trusting one another, and also, it's a lonely business because you're in it for yourself. Right. And, there's really no one else that's pushing for you. But it definitely makes things a whole lot easier when you have someone, always fall back on, and someone that's always your rock. And, I try to do the same for her. So,
right.
It's a tough one, but, we make it work. And, at the same time, there's definitely benefits to it, because let's say this weekend, we'll talk to other couples when we get back, and it's like, oh, we just, hung around the house. And it's like, well, we were in this town, we were in that town, right. We saw this, we did that, we wrestled in front of this many people. And this is like a big thing with, how you become such close friends, and how I think we became such close friends so quick, is that when you're on the road with one another, you are like speeding up time that's in a relationship like tenfold. So like a relationship that's been like a year, when you're traveling every weekend, or even higher up when you're traveling more than that, with the same person, and you're spending every moment with them, right. It's like 2 years. So,
well, I always like to think, like,
you and Casey have been together now for 5 years.
Yeah,
basically.
We've been together. So before I was even born, that's how long we've been together now.
I think because, like, traveling, in all honesty, it brings out the absolute worst in anybody.
Is this your transition? Were you allowed to talk about Angry Taven and traveling?
No, I could.
Oh, I thought that's where you're going.
I should, but no. I was just gonna, kind of elaborate on what you said. Where traveling, it takes out the worst because you're either tired, you don't know where you're going, you're hungry, you don't know where the fuck you are,
or
you don't know what hotel you're going
TSA person
Yeah,
it's just never traveled before.
It brings out the worst in anybody. So I'm always like, if you put up with that and you're with the person, you can be with them at their worst and still be happy, then it's like, all right, well, I've seen them at their worst because I've traveled with them. And I think traveling literally brings out the worst in most people because it's just,
definitely.
It's just so exhausting. And
me and Casey both get food cranky.
Yeah.
So like after a show when we like haven't eaten, I can just tell because we'll be like, you know what, we need to eat. We're about to kill each other. We're getting real food cranky right now. But it's absolutely right. I mean, the traveling can suck sometimes, and I definitely have my moments.
No,
at airports.
No, never.
But
to anyone listening,
luckily,
Matt Taven is the angriest human being who's ever stepped foot in an airport. It's just. Everybody's in his way. Everybody hits him with their bag. All the gate agents are yelling at him. It's quite an incredible.
But it's true though. I mean, you went through it this past weekend. I mean, they told you couldn't bring your bag on. That would have. See, I try to take this approach of being as laid back as possible in the airport because it's such a stressful time. But when someone's not helping or adding to my stress, I lose it very quickly in airports. So I have no idea how you made it through that bag situation this weekend because I probably would have been escorted from my flight.
Bye, David. See you later.
It makes for a great traveling partner, though. I love watching it. I think nobody gets more enjoyment out of it than me and Todd Sinclair. So
I was going to say, you and Pants, I could just hear snickering because you guys always seem to end up sitting behind me as I get bashed by some drink cart. But which just reminded me of Gino. But
oh no, poor Gino. Fucking Gino.
But the stuff with the road is, and like I was saying, you have these moments with people that you wouldn't have otherwise. Like me and you used to do those 2CW trips, and we'd just be driving through Nowheresville, and it's like, this is where Dateline happens. This is where someone random murders a whole family, and no one ever finds out because there's no one out here to ever find out that you did anything.
I believe maybe, should I tell the story? Was it, who brought it up when we were in the middle of nowhere in New York, and one of us looked at the other one and said, we could probably just pull off here, kill someone, and no one would ever know it was us. That's what happened.
We did have that conversation a couple times. But the thing was is that
do it. But
it came we're not gonna do it, come on. But it came up later, we were driving with someone else and they said the same exact thing, and that's when we looked at each other and we're like, we've said the same thing before. So we have a crew, almost like a little cult going of not going to actually do it, but pondering about committing murder in random places.
I don't think I'm ever going to ride with you guys again at the same time because if the two of you were together, and then I don't think I could do it. I'm done riding with you guys.
We just talk about the likelihood of getting away with it because it'd be such a random act. No one's out. We're not going to actually do it. We're just.
Oh yeah, of course not.
We're talking about the percentage of getting caught.
If people want to follow you, find you after you've murdered someone, where can they find you on Twitter, Facebook, etc., etc.? Yakety schmackety, buy your dirty, stinky underwear.
Wow.
You can email me at charliemansonfan. It's very simple. Matt Taven, and that's Taven, Taven. Matt Taven at Twitter, Matt Taven on Facebook, and my email is mattaven@gmail. So if you know how to spell Matt Taven, you know how to find me.
You're good to go.
That's very
you're all good.
What about Casey? What about your lovely girlfriend?
Oh, Casey? Yes. I'm sorry, Casey.
No, that's what I'm here for. I know
exactly.
Exactly. Thank you.
He's like your wingman or something.
Get this stuff.
It's supposed to be your job, Maria. You know, she's on your side of the wedding party.
She is on my side, but he got to it before me.
Uh-huh.
She's the real Casey Ray on Twitter, the real one. And then I think she's just Casey Ray on Facebook. And then her email for bookings is Casey Live, but Casey is spelled Kaycee, live at AOL.com.
Nice.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on and being our friend and being in the wedding and being awesome.
Thank you for being a friend.
I'm really excited to see you guys this weekend and stuff. So, yeah.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks.
All right. I'll talk to you this weekend. Thank you guys so much, and congratulations on the podcast.
Thanks, bud. See you this weekend, dude. Peace.
Bye.
Ah, yes, Mr.
That
Tatum.
is Matthew.
Mm-hmm. I like him lots.
I talked to him today about having him on the podcast. All I could think about.
Have you told him about what's happening on Friday? That we're that you have to pick me up at 3, and then we can't go and
no, I should probably tell him.
Oh yeah, while he was on the podcast, I was thinking that you hadn't told him yet.
No.
Oh my goodness. Okay, go ahead.
No, all I was saying was that when I was thinking of ways to introduce Taven, I was gonna do something be like, and also my friend, my best friend, something silly like that. But all that kept replaying in my head was, do you remember when Flair feuded with Triple H? And they just kept, probably not. This is why I'm a wrestling nerd. But Flair was talking about Triple H before Triple H turned on him and hit him with a sledgehammer. And they kept playing over and over again during the promo package for their pay-per-view match when Flair would go, "My best friend." And that's all I kept thinking about. I know, retarded, stupid, I'm awful, but that's all. So I'd love for that to be the intro. My best friend.
Yeah.
Woo.
Awesome. I think I was there when that was happening. Was I there?
Probably. I think it was 05. I don't know when it was. But
I mean, not that you would know if I was there or not, because according to you,
look, Taboo Tuesday 2005. You were there.
Oh, I was there. I remember. I dressed up as something, I think.
Maybe Flair.
No. Because Taboo Tuesday used to be where you could
vote.
They would vote, and then we would wear something. Okay, so our man from the sky, our Jesus named Will, is going to probably tell me Halloween Battle Royal. I think I probably was wearing either a kitty outfit or a angel or something of the sort.
The White Angel. Matt Taven, the White Angel?
Oh yes, that was me. I was actually wearing an outfit he wore, and I had his mask. I wore that as well.
You want to know a little Ring of Honor trivia that a lot of people probably don't know about?
Yes.
So, current Ring of Honor wrestler Matt Taven and recently introduced Ring of Honor wrestler Hanson were both in the same Backyard Wrestling Federation. Did you know that?
Lame.
Matt Taven was the White Angel, and Todd Hanson was Road Todd.
Okay, see, I never had the trampoline wrestling backyard experience.
They didn't have a trampoline. They built their own ring. They had their own angles, and
yeah, and they had sellouts where they yeah, insane. Matt Taven had sellouts, and I think it was his backyard.
They wanted to see the White Angel.
They totally wanted to see the White Angel, but he's so cute, and he had hair then, so I don't know what happened.
He has hair now. He has beautiful hair. He's got beautiful flowing locks.
He does, but I have to give him a hard time because he freaks out. It's so funny.
Go after the man's soul. Why don't you just kick him in the balls? Why don't you?
No, I just know that the more times I say Matt Taven, the more people will know his name.
Matt Taven.
Yes, Matt Taven.
White Angel.
Nobody needs to know that name anymore. So what is happening in wrestling right now? Because I have no idea. So before we get off of this podcast,
honestly, I haven't followed a lot. I've been honestly way too busy. I know that WrestleMania is coming up, but there's only a few matches that I know, which is weird because I usually have a good I usually have my finger on the pulse of WrestleMania, but this year I do not.
You have more important things to deal with, like the Briscoe brothers, like you're dealing with WrestleMania weekend at the Ring of Honor shows. So why don't you tell everybody what we're doing that weekend during WrestleMania weekend, what we're doing this weekend, and why these things are so important to you. Go.
Well, I mean, I don't know why they're so important to me, but this weekend we're in...
because you're defending my honor. That's why they're important.
We're at Northeast Wrestling, Friday and Saturday night. You can look it up. Go to northeastwrestling.com. And me and Maria and Matthew and Casey will all be there, along with the one-man thrill ride Jimmy Preston and Matt Hardy and AJ Styles and... Vader will be there, and so check those shows out. And then the weekend after that, it's WrestleMania weekend, and Ring of Honor will be in New Orleans, just like the WWE will be. We have two awesome shows. The first night, I will be wrestling the Chicken, Mark Briscoe, in a no disqualification match because.
Are you nervous? Are you scared?
No, I'm going to hurt him. I've already promised on Twitter and Facebook that this match will be violent, and it will be. It'll be very violent. Are you scared?
No, I don't get scared. I've been doing this for too long. I'm numb.
Oh, you're numb.
I am.
You should probably.
Sometimes I think about the things. Sometimes I think about like. The things that I want you to do while you're out there. And I think no good girlfriend would want her man to do that.
Really?
Like sometimes I think about how I want you to like fly off the top rope with someone and beat them up real bad. But then in my girlfriend head, I'm like, wait a minute. I'm asking him to come off the top rope with a grown man and hope for the best. That's a terrible idea.
You often come up with ideas that I'm like, you must really love me. Do you want me to do that?
Yeah. I want you to do the craziest things ever sometimes. Not good. Sorry, babe. Love you, though.
But I always look at it as that's how we share and show our love.
Yeah, it is.
The easier, the more loving.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
So, what do you have night 2, WrestleMania weekend?
Night 2 is a 6-man tag match. It is a 6-man warfare. It is me and the Ring of Honor World Champion Adam Cole. Oh, well, hopefully he's still the world champ. He's the world champ now. Hopefully that night
he will be.
I know. I'm just saying. Cards subject to change, so people don't. Oh, you said on your podcast he was going to be the world champ. I'm saying he's the world champ,
and I will make sure that he's going to be the world champion because that's my job.
So it will be me and current Ring of Honor world champ Adam Cole and the Jesus Christ of Pro Wrestling Matthew Hardy, and he is our savior. And you will be accompanying us to the ring, and we will be wrestling. The Briscoes, a.k.a. Dem Boys, and Mr. Wrestling Kevin Steen. So it should be a hell of a match. Really looking forward to that. I might start
humping a pole when Kevin Steen comes out to the ring.
Weird.
Sorry, I just love his music that much.
That's wicked weird.
I'm sorry.
You're wicked
Hashtag Maria humping pole.
Hashtag wicked weird.
I have some questions. Should we answer questions?
Yeah, how much time we got left? Do we got to wrap?
I feel bad because I told people I would answer questions, and then
I think we have time for a couple before we wrap this thing up.
Okay, somebody asked, please notice me. Okay, I noticed you.
That's what we went out of the way.
Freezy.
That's what we went out of the way for.
No.
Please notice me.
I have a question. Is it harder to find a wife at 30 than it would be at 20? Jason Fields.
No.
What do you think?
No? You don't want a wife at 20. You're too young.
You're in your 20s.
I'm thinking early 20s.
Oh,
when someone says
you're actually turning 29 this year, you are almost 30.
I took that question as, is it harder to find someone at like 30, actual 30, or actual 20? Like, I didn't take it as 30s and 20s. Maybe I misheard you.
Oh. Okay, Greg Reedy says, what is life like on the road as a professional wrestling couple?
It's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, we're like best friends, and we're not a wrestling couple, so we're good to go.
You know, it's weird because, like, we've been on the road now for almost or over 2 years, and it's like I don't look at it as, oh, we're a wrestling. I never, like, people always ask, well, how, what's it like being a wrestling couple? But it's the same old thing. I don't consider ourselves a wrestling couple. We're a couple that happens to be wrestlers.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about different stuff. It's not like we're always just having conversations about wrestling. Like, no. I'm in school right now, and then next year I'm looking at going abroad and studying, and like we have real conversations that have nothing to do with wrestling.
Like, yeah, I mean, wrestling does consume us, but we separate work and like it's, I don't know. It's just, I guess it's just easy for me, and I don't understand why people can't understand that. Like, we're a relationship first, our relationship first, and then we are a couple on TV that's wrestlers. I don't know. It sounds a lot easier in my head than it is to explain.
Jason Barber says, what are you studying in school? I think I'm decided now. I'm getting my associates in science, and then next year I think I'm going to be going to school for hospitality and tourism, specializing in large event management.
Ooh.
So, I mean, I have, like, that's maybe the second time I've said it out loud, but it was really tough to decide. But ever since I made this decision, I haven't changed my mind. So, that right now is definitely the direction that I'm heading.
Good.
So, yeah, good stuff. But I think that should be all the questions for this evening, because
no more questions.
No more questions. One more question. No more questions.
That's the Macho Man.
Another 360? One. Okay.
Excuse me, Macho Man. One more question. No more questions. Okay. I'm sorry about that.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Freeze!
Okay, well, folks, you can catch me on Twitter at Maria L. Kanellis. You can follow me or like me, I guess, on Facebook. It's official Maria Kanellis. You can also go to my eBay store and give me lots of criticisms. And that's Maria Kanellis Direct. My official website is mariakanellis.com/thirsty. Just kidding. And you can always watch me on Ring of Honor television. And if you want to see listings and such, ringofhonorwrestling.com.
Hashtag thirsty.
Hashtag thirsty.
You so thirsty, baby.
Oh my God, I don't use those kind of words. I find them incredibly ignorant and also rude. And if that is the language that you choose to learn, then you have no.
Do people know how stupid they sound when they use lame ass like language like that? Like you sound dumb. Like I'm sorry, I might go on a mini rant right now. You sound like a fucking moron. Like, I know people try to insult you and they're like, girl, you so fucking thirsty. When you say stuff like that, it's almost hard to take it as an insult, because I read it and I go, wow, this person is either A, uneducated, or B, has not fully grasped the English language. Use the actual proper English language, or go back to school and learn how to fucking use words. The term thirsty means you want a goddamn drink. It doesn't mean anything else but, oh, my throat is dry. I need some water, some juice, some Gatorade, some soda, something to quench my thirst. It doesn't mean anything but that. If you're using that for anything but you want a drink, you're a fucking moron and you should be treated as such.
I also hate the term jelly. I hate, what is that? Cray. I fucking hate the word cray. That song comes on and I literally turn it off within a half a second.
You're saying it wrong.
What?
You can't just say cray. You have to say cray cray.
Oh my God! I don't think I can ever have sex with you again. I think that's it.
What, baby? That's cray cray. Aren't you thirsty? Shit, son. I know this. Don't I sound smart? You fucking morons. Jesus. You can follow me on Twitter at Real Mike Bennett, or follow me on Instagram at The Real Mike Bennett. You can also check out sbvfitness.com. It's where I get all my supplements. It's a great store. I mean, honestly, I've never felt better like being on these supplements. The protein's great. I swear I've put on almost 10 pounds in the past 4 or 5 weeks just from these supplements. They are awesome.
No, you put on 15 pounds. Yeah, You're huge.
They're awesome. And I was just talking to the guy who makes them. They have really good stuff. I love it. So check out sbvfitness.com.
And you can catch us live every single Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern, unless we tell you otherwise, at The Sound Off on fanoff.com. So that's fanoff.com/The Sound Off.
Yeah, and you can also, we're two of the thirstiest bitches you'll ever meet. On that note,
I am a very dehydrated dog, according to you.
Arr, arr.
Thanks, guys.
Peace.
Off with my head, I fell in love again. Off with my head, I fell in love again. You lose your head, you lose your heart. Off with my head, I fell in love again. Off with my head, I fell in love again. You lose your head, you lose your heart. Fall apart. Fall apart.
This has been a production of fanoff.com.
And that's perfect.